Hey, what's up, Knife Tube? We're gonna do a fun little sharpening today. I'm gonna show you guys something that you may not know about. Could be beneficial to you. What it is, just take a diamond plate. Not a course, something 600, 1,000, or higher grit, and buy a set of these lapping sheets. They're made by 3M. You can buy the sheets, an 8 by 11 inch sheet on Amazon for 7 sheets, one of each grit. It's about 20 bucks. You get a 40 micron, 30, 12, 9, 3, 1, 0.3 micron. So you get 7 sheets. I'm going to do this AR RPM 9, and I'm going to do 40, 30, 12, and finish it on 9. And show you guys just how, I don't want to take it to a mirror, but show you guys just how nice of a finish you can get on your more simple steels with these lapping films. So if you don't have a large stone progression, or you say you want to do really fine edges, high grit mirrors, as long as it's on simple steels with no super hard carbides, like chromium carbide's fine, nothing beyond that. These lapping films are just fine. The abrasive on them, I can't speak. The abrasive on them is aluminum oxide. Very, very, very consistent. In fact, let's show you real quick with the microscope. Hope you could on it. But you can use these lapping films and actually get really, really nice finishes. Now, I've seen others on YouTube using them and doing, high carbide steels with them, and that's not a good idea. It's an alumina abrasive. It's not hard enough to cut, tungsten or vanadium carbides. Your simple soft carbides, chromium carbides, just fine. But really nothing beyond that. So like D2 is fine. But these are very, 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 very consistent abrasives, and they're on a PSA backing, so a pressure sensitive abrasive, or pressure. I can't speak. Pressure sensitive binder, adhesion, whatever you want to call it. PSA, what is it? Pressure sensitive adhesive. There you go. So they stick, and you can peel them off. Now I will say they don't last that long, but it is a very consistent abrasive size on these things. So they leave really beautiful scratch patterns. Let's get a little more zoomed in. There's your abrasive. As you can see, it's very consistent, which is what's so nice about these things. Because if you're working with simple steels and you want to do a mirror, these will absolutely take you to a very nice mirror at 0.3 micron. And due to how consistent the abrasive is, that was the 40 micron, but they leave a very, very nice finish. Actually, here, this green shows up better. There we go, right there. Looking good. But the abrasive is very, very consistent. That's the 30. Here's the 12. And here's the 9. That camera does not like that blue, I'll tell you that. That's the 9. Just a very consistent abrasive size on this stuff. So you can, if you don't have a large grip progression, you don't have, really high-end stones or stones that are capable of giving you what you want, these right here, you'll see, these right here are capable of, for not much money, of getting you very, very fine finishes. Now, do not expect them to cut fast. Like the 40 micron, don't expect it to cut fast. It's not going to. So you're not going to be doing no reprofiling or anything like that with it. This stuff, this is for finishing. Now this edge is dull. It's been, it's been well used. So the edge is dull. And basically you're just gonna, you cut it out to your 1x6 size. And there you go. Now it sticks. You can peel that right up. It will not leave any adhesive behind. So you can stick your next one on, and if you haven't worn all the abrasive off of it, you can just reuse them. Now I will say they don't last very long. So you're not going to get, like I'm going to be able to get this out of them, because while this knife is, actually let's cut that edge off. That edge is used, it's well used, but it's not, I could strop this edge back and just be fine, but I just want to make this video for y'all. So we're just going to knock this edge off. Get rid of that fatigued steel. Okay. Now, you got your abrasive on here. I do suggest using either water, or preferably water and Dawn, or water, Dawn, or Windex and a couple drops of Dawn. I'm just using water and Dawn this time, but a little bit of lubricant ain't gonna hurt you. So I've already set this up. This edge is at about 15.5. Now, one thing, remember, you have this stuck on a stone, so you would probably be better off just doing stropping passes, or edge trailing passes only. I'm not going to. You just have to be very careful if you're going to do what I did. So I would probably suggest for most just do edge trailing sharpening passes. But I'm going to do them like I would a normal sharpening. You just have to be careful, or you'll cut into the film. And it will leave you a very, very nice finish. These films are impressive for that, especially if you're working with carbon steels. Like say you were doing some 1070, 1095, something like that. This stuff leaves really beautiful finishes. I personally use this stuff for on float glass. Stick it to a piece of float glass, and use it for sharpening chisels and plane blades and stuff like that are just hardened carbon steel, and it leaves incredibly beautiful finishes. It's extremely consistent. Now, if you want, a more toothy edge, now it's going to leave a fairly fine, how do I say this? Sorry for kind of rambling, but okay. Like if you go by, say, DMT, and you'll see they're 45 micron. You can't go by that. This here is 40 micron, but this is vastly finer than, say, like the 25 micron stones from DNT. So you really can't, it's not a direct conversion. They claim this is a 40 micron abrasive size, but it doesn't cut nowhere near like a 40 micron stone would, be it diamond or like a shafting glass, something in the 40 micron range. That's going to cut far faster and far more aggressive than these will. Like this 40 micron will leave a lot finer of a scratch pattern than like a shafting glass 500 would be around that 40 close to that, somewhere in that range. But this is going to leave a far finer finish than that would. You do have to be careful about how you apply pressure like this and how much pressure you apply, or you will cut the film. So be careful of that if you do this. And like I said, don't try to keep this steel realistic. You don't want to. You're not going to try to sharpen no Maximat with this stuff. You know what I mean? Something like 14C would be fine. Nitro V would be fine. This stuff, D2, RPM 9CR, 10CR, 8CR, any of that stuff. You just have to be careful with carbide type, carbide content. And even on your more simple steels, I would say 62, 63 Rockwell is going to be about your limit. It would probably cut up to about 64. You probably could, like say you had some Aogami blue paper at 64. You probably could do that with that steel on these. But that might be a little, definitely no more than 64. I would say 62, 63 is max. 64 if you had to. But yeah, 64 would be about the absolute max. And 62, 63 would be a more realistic max. But as you can see, it's definitely removing steel. That quickly have a very refined scratch pattern. Shoot, I don't have my lights on. Let me cut the lights on. Is that better for you guys? I would say realistically, if you don't use no pressure, you could probably get about 2 to 3 knives out of each film before they start to need to be replaced. Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little more on the finer films. Whoops. But it really is cool stuff. Like it gives you it gives you a the ability to be able to get some extremely refined edge results without having to have, you know, expensive stones that are capable of doing that. Yeah. Booty. No burr at the booty. Okay. Now we're going to go to the footy. And see, it'll fill right up, no problem. And being this is still a perfectly usable sheet, definitely got plenty of life left in it. I will simply put it back on its little thing, on its little backing. Bingo. And it's ready for another go around. Where it really shines is with like carbon steels. You know, simple old carbon steels for doing, like I said, plain blades and chisel blades and stuff like that. You know, or old carbon steel cutlery. That's where you're really gonna get the most out of this type of abrasive. You can get some really impressive edge results on those old carbon steels with this stuff. You will definitely see quite a difference in refinement of scratch pattern with each progression of the films. So when you jump from 40 to 30, you will see a rather large difference in finish, and so on and so forth as you move down. Like even the difference between the 1 and 0.3 micron is quite a difference in the finish that it leaves. it cleans up the scratch pattern of the previous grit pretty quickly. Like not nearly as quickly as like diamond or CBN will, but or silicone carbide for that matter. But you know, it does pretty quickly. So once you do that 40, get your burr, move to the next, you can move down the progression pretty quickly. Rolling that burr back to the other side. I do not want to cut it off. And I'll show you all that 9 micron finish under the microscope. And you'll see it's incredibly consistent. It's such a pretty finish already. If you're doing D2, I would suggest 40 or 30 micron is your finish. I wouldn't really go no below that. I wouldn't go below that at all yet. Probably 40 is what I would finish at actually, but 40 or 30 would be fine. On 14C, or still similar to that, Nitro V, I would say, I mean, if you want to put a mirror on, it's up to you, but I would say either finish at 9 or 12. That would probably be about ideal. If you're working with old carbons, like plain blades or whatever, you know, go ahead and finish it down to 0.3. So it leaves you a really nice finish on your woodwork. Same thing, peel it off. It's going to go back. And that adhesive won't peel off on your stone, so you know it's ready to go when you want to use it again. We're going to go to 12 micron now. Take a little bit of that fluid got on the stone. Okay. You don't have to use water or water and Dawn on this if you don't want to. It will leave a slightly nicer finish if you do, and it will last slightly longer, but you don't have to do it if you don't want to. Starts getting quite fine at 12. You know, you're starting to really leave a nice polished finish at 12. Looking beautiful. I really don't suggest that you take any knives that you're going to actually really use to anything below the 9, in all honesty, because it's just so fine that you're not going to have much bite. I would suggest that, 12 or 9 be your pretty much your limit, unless you're doing it for cosmetics. And then, do whatever you want. But if it's a user, 12 or 9 is about where you want to call it quits at. You will definitely feel when the finish catches up to the grit. You'll feel it start to smooth out. So you'll pretty much know just by feel when you've got the previous scratch pattern out. Dang, we're gonna put this up. That's still got life left in it. Come on. Hey, this one's being a pain in the ass. It's got that little curve in it. It's not that well good enough. And we're going to go to 9 micron. You're starting to polish pretty big time at 9 micron. So, if you don't want polish, stop at 12. Because you're at 9, you're really starting to polish. There you go. Like I said, you'll feel it as soon as the scratch pattern has all the deeper scratches out of it, you will feel it. Like you will know quickly that you'll feel it through the feedback of the abrasive. So you'll know like when you can go ahead and quit when your scratch pattern is completely consistent. It tells you pretty much the instant it happens, you will know. You don't even really need to look at it. And if you're careful, you won't cut your film, even doing what I'm doing. But you have to be very careful, or you will cut them. Now, if you're doing stropping passes, of course, you won't cut them. But if you're doing what I'm doing, you can definitely cut them. You just have to be careful, and you won't. I mean, as you can clearly see, I haven't. I'm just watching what I'm doing. It's actually really fun to sharpen like plane blades or chisels on this stuff on a piece of float glass. I've really enjoyed doing it because it leaves such a beautiful finish. And those, you can get them so crazy sharp, it's not even funny. Yeah, see, I can literally, you can feel the moment that your scratch pattern is all matching to that grit. It's really, really, it's easily distinguished. Really easy to tell. Now I'm going to work that burr that's already been very much reduced. I'm just going to work that burr back and forth a few times. Start to fatigue that steel so it'll start to break away. Now, don't get me wrong, this burr is already quite reduced as it is. I can't hardly feel any burr on the edge when I'm pulling the stone across it. But I know there's a little burr there, so I'm going to go ahead and work it back and forth. Now I'm going to make a few edge leading passes to get any of that burr off of there. Absolutely zero pressure. Okay. So this 9 micron here has plenty of life left in it. So don't throw them away too soon. Make sure you get your money's worth out of them. You'll pretty easily be able to tell when it's time to replace them or when they ain't no good no more. You'll feel the cutting just kind of starting to get obnoxiously slow. Alrighty, let's show you guys scratch pattern. Clean this boy off. Okay. Let's see if I can show you on. There's your 9 micron finish. As you can see, it is definitely starting to polish. Okay. As you can see, extremely consistent. And leaves you a very, very sharp edge. Yeah, very consistent. And a very, very, very sharp edge. That has good bite. Even at 9 micron, you've got quite a bit of bite, which is very nice. Push cut easily. Anyways, very good edge. And if if you don't have a lot of money to invest in stones and you need to, you want to be able to get very fine edges and you're only working with, fairly low alloy steels, this is a very viable method to get very fine edge results without spending much money. Without spending much money. And now is it super efficient? No. And now you will have to have a stone that gets the scratch pattern to where the 40 micron can deal with it. I would say you need, in order for the 40 micron to be able to clean up the scratch pattern, I would say 600 grit is about the minimum. Like your typical 600 grit diamond plate, that's going to be about the minimum that the 40 micron can actually clean up that scratch pattern. More realistic would be around 800. Like say you're coming off of like a Chaucera 800, and then you hop over to the 40 micron, it's going to clean that scratch pattern up very nicely. But let's say you were on like a DMT 600, a DMT fine, 600, 625, whatever you want to call it, that would be about the absolute lowest you can go, and that 40 micron still be able to clean up that scratch pattern. If you were coming off like a 400, forget about it. Or a Shapton Glass 500, something like that, you would go through like 4 or 5 of those 40 micron films before that scratch pattern was called up to the 40 micron film. So as long as you got like a 600 to 800 grit stone that you can finish on, then you could go over to these and be able to go to quite fine, fine edge results, all the way to a complete bright mirror. It's a good way to be able to save some money, to get a good set of stones, but yet still get very fine edge results while you're saving up to get those stones that can do it. I wouldn't say that this is just for efficiency's sake. I would not say that this is like a something permanent, something that you should depend on. Oh, okay, I got a 600 grit stone, so I'm just going to finish on the 600 and hop over to the films, and I'll be good from now on. I'll just keep doing that. I don't think that's a viable option, as these do wear quite quickly, especially the 40 and 30 micron. You go through them pretty fast. They're not that cheap, and you know, you need a if you want really fine grit edges, very fine finish edges, you need proper stones to be able to do it. But this will give you a way to get them while you're saving up for the stones that can actually handle that task. Anyways, they're called 3M lapping films. They're about $17 to $20 a pack on Amazon for the full sheets, the 11 by 7 or 11 by 8. I think it's 11 by 8. The full sheets for all 7 grits, about 17 to 20 bucks. Just if you do it, just keep in mind you are very much restricted by the steel composition. Anything with hard carbides, or or realistically even a large volume of chromium carbides might give you some problems. I would say D2 is about the maximum, but any of your more simple low alloy stainless or carbon steels, these are perfect for. And if you want really good edge quality on simple carbon steels, this stuff's hard to beat. Like, if you got some 52-100, at 62, 63 Rockwell, some 1095, 1066, 1080, 1070, stuff like that. These films absolutely leave some of the best edge quality I've ever felt on those on those simple carbons. So, yeah. Now, 52-100 ran kind of hard, would be about at the upper limit of where I would say this is a feasible abrasive, but it would work for it. But you guys that love 1095, man, it's crazy how sharp you can get that stuff on these abrasives. Anyways, talk to you guys later. I will link the abrasive pack in the comments, so if anybody wants a pack, there'll be the link for you. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.